G'day people. Today I'm going to be making chicken pie. Chicken pie, the Martian way. And of course, if you're going to make chicken pie, what you need is chicken. So I've got a small chicken here. This is just a Aldi free range chicken. Says free range on it, so it's good enough for me. Probably good enough for me. So, just a small one because it's only a pie. We're not trying to feed a huge amount purely on chicken. I mean, there'll be other things in the pie to fill it up. But chicken will be a major part of the chicken pie, but it won't be the only part, not by any means. So, get yourself a large saucepan and that can take the chicken, and cover the chicken in boiling water. Cover it up. Put it on the stove. Bye-bye. We'll put it on the stove and I'll bring it up to the simmer, and the scum will come out of it after a while. Maybe I'll come back when the scum comes out and I'll just show it to you, and then we'll progress from there. Alright, so it doesn't take long for the scum to start coming out. Once the chicken starts boiling, I'll just show you what it looks like. Just need something to scoop the scum into. So I'll give you a look. Voila, lots of scum. So we just skim the scum. Skim the scum. It really is more difficult than you think to operate with one hand while you're looking at something, and you're looking at something in the real with your own eyes, and you've also got to look at it through the phone. It's actually very difficult to keep to do the two things at once. Right. So the scum has been filtered or scooped. There'll probably be a bit more come out. If there is, I'll just skim that, and I'll probably top the water up. I'll turn that down a bit. I'll turn it down, I'll put the lid on. Don't want it to boil over. It might boil over, but anyway, I'll just keep an eye on it, and when the scum comes out, I'll just skim it, and I'll be back. I'm going to let it simmer, just simmer for an hour, and then I'll be back. Then I'll let it cool down for probably a couple of hours, and then I'll be back to dismember the carcass. See you then. Okay, well, it's been a bit more than 50 minutes, maybe 55, roughly 55 minutes since I started cooking the chicken. It's enough. It's only a small chicken. We don't need or want to overdo it. To overdo it would be a mistake. If we put a knife into it, or a fork into it, it just slides right through with no resistance at all. So it's done. So I'm just going to let the chicken drain into the stock. I'm keeping this stock. I'm going to use it for veggie soup. I'm going to make a veggie soup. It'll probably be the next video after this one. So let's give you a look at the boiled chicken. I mean, it's nothing terribly amazing, it's just boiled chicken, you know. you've seen one, you've seen them all, but see how easily that just goes straight through. Have a look at the other side maybe if you want to. Anyway. So that's it. Cook the chicken. I'm just going to let it cool. I'm going to reserve the stock and keep it in the fridge. And I'll come back when it's properly cool and I'll dismember it. Alright, the chicken has cooled down, the stock has cooled down, so I'm going to pour the stock into a, hello, that's new, that's a bit different. I'm going to pour the stock into this container. I'll just sieve out the big bits and it will go into the fridge. And it will reappear in a few days' time when I make the soup. When I make my soup. Now the fun bit. The fun bit. Dismembering the chicken carcass. Lots of fun. So, if you've ever tried to take the meat off a chicken, don't do it with a bloody knife and fork and tweezers. No, that is not the way. Watch and learn. The way is, you pull the skin off with your fingers. You don't want the skin. We're not going to eat the skin. Pull the meat off with your fingers. When you pull the meat off with your fingers, you get complete control. You get the best possible control. It's fantastic. It's the way to do it. See that? Meat. We don't want the skin. We don't want the skin, we don't want the bones. We just want the meat. And we don't want the gristle either. Like there's a bit of gristle there, we don't want it. But you've got a pair of eyes. Hopefully you've got some functioning eyes. And your fingers have got great sensitivity and ability to react to things, and they can sense different consistency of bits and pieces. So your fingers know whether it's meat or not. You know? But if a knife doesn't know if it's meat, a knife has to be instructed, and honestly, it's just a pain. Trying to do this with a knife, forget it. Don't do it. This is easy. It's easy. It works. Right. Do the same with the other one. That's nice and quick. You can do this when it's really hot, but it's a bit hot, you know. Like in the past I've done it when it was really hot. You know, take it straight out of the stock and start dismembering it, but it's just a lot easier if you wait till it's cooled down a bit. It's just pleasantly warm at the moment. Probably a good perfect environment for breeding bacteria, I would say. This sort of temperature, it feels about blood temperature, so that's the temperature bacteria like. So the go is, don't muck around, dismember your chicken reasonably quickly and get it in the fridge, because we don't want to breed salmonella or E. coli or whatever happens to be floating around in the atmosphere. With that, just peel off the skin, peel it off. Very different to a roast. You know, the skin when you roast it is delicious. But the skin when you boil it, not so much. But you know, if you like boiled chicken skin, go for your life. Look at how the breast came off there. Just dig your fingers in, breast comes off. Look at that. Easy. Easy, easy. You don't waste any meat. You can pull it all off. Dig your fingers in. Still nice and almost hot, really, right in the middle. Almost. Wings are barely worth bothering about. That's why wings are cheap. There's not much meat on them. It's a little bit, not much. Not much. Yep, use your eyes. Use your eyes. As I say, don't put the skin in. Don't want the skin. Skin's no good. Now we just pull out the rest of that white meat. Now when you do this, when you're carving a roast, at some point I'll have to do a video about cooking a roast. I'll have to. I mean, it's a great Australian tradition, cooking a roast, so I have to do it. But I mean, you all, probably pretty much all of you know what a roast's like anyway, so there's no rush to make that video. Look at that, it's almost gone already. There's not much meat on the back end of the chook, not much. Plenty of skin and gristle, but maybe a few internal organs. Although they've been pulled out, you don't get them on a supermarket chook. You'd have to get them from a real chook. If you want the organs, you want to eat chicken livers and giblets. What's a giblet when it's at home? Hey, look what I found. Now, what is this, Mr. Mars? I believe it's a wishbone. But since I'm no longer... actually, to tell you the truth, I was never superstitious, so... I never found that wishing on anything made any difference. Never made any difference in my life. Praying, wishing, dreaming, hoping, waste of time, people. Waste of time. If you want to get something done, you've just got to do it yourself. That's all there is to it. Do it yourself. Actually, look at all that crap. As you can see, the great majority of the good meat is on the breast. The breast and the thighs, and really that's it. There's bits and pieces, but honestly, it's just not worth the trouble. Bits of the carcass like that. Like, if you're dying of hunger or something, you can try and find something to eat in that, but there's just a few bits of white meat, and really the rest is just nothing. The rest is just crappy bones and skin and connective tissue that we don't want. So that's it, done. Chicken dismembered, stock in the fridge. So I'm now ready to go to make chicken pie and veggie soup. Coming back later when I start the pie. Okay, the chicken has been in the fridge overnight, cooling down, chilling out. I've got some bacon out of the fridge and ready to go. I've got some peas, I've got some oregano, got an onion, all we need. This is a pie, so the first thing we need to do is make the pastry. But before I do that, I'll just tell you what happened. Got up this morning, and when I was ready I went to do some focus tests because it's a new morning and I had to move the tripod back to film this section of the recipe. And while I was doing focus tests and audio tests, I accidentally deleted, I thought I was deleting those, but in actual fact I deleted one of the video files from last night when I was pulling the chicken apart. So I had to try to recover that, and that took hours. I've got to say it took hours, and I tried 3 different recovery programs. The movie file, of course, is on a SD card stuck into the camera. So I took it out, plug it in the computer, try and recover it with these various recovery programs. Two of them took a very long time, like an hour just to scan, an hour to scan. Ridiculous, guys, that's too long. So they weren't suitable. The first one did actually possibly, it claimed it could recover the file, but then it wanted me to pay before I'd do it. Bugger that. I think it was 90 bucks they wanted. No, probably more than that. The other one was free, but no Windows interface, so just command line structure, not really suitable for this day and age. So the one that worked was, not only was it free, but it was way the best. It instantly, in less than a minute, you got a list of files, and then you find the one you want, bang, it tries to recover it. Which it did, recovered it first time. Mind you, as soon as I realised what I'd done, I stopped. So long as you haven't as long as you haven't saved any files once you delete your last file, you should always be able to get that file back. But what you can't do is if you start filming again, then it's going to overwrite it and you'll never get it back ever. So I stopped and I was able to get it back. And it was, the program was Salvage Data Recovery Pro. Salvage Data Recovery Pro is free. At least I think it's free, unless there's some sort of trial version or something, but I didn't pay, and it was quick and it recovered it perfectly, no problem. So good on you, Salvage Data, great stuff. Alright, let's crack on with the pastry. So start as always with butter, and look, I've made this I've made this a bunch of times. Pastry, how many pies have I made? I must have made at least three, maybe more. This will be at least the fourth. This will be at least the fourth. So let's see how long it takes to make pastry, eh? It doesn't take very long. It's not really a difficult job. It's really not. Alright. So we get a all I make is pies, eh? Who ate all the pies? I do tend to eat a lot of pies, but keeping the weight down. It's not all going onto the gut. But it does go onto the gut. That's true, but my diet, if you want to lose weight, I'll tell you how to do it. Don't eat. Believe it or not, if you don't eat, you will definitely lose weight. Absolutely guaranteed. There's not many diets that can say they guarantee you, but I guarantee you if you don't eat, you'll lose weight. You'll lose weight until you start eating again. Right, I'm just going to whiz this up. Tell you the truth, it's pretty soft. So now we want a cup. We want a cup and a half of plain flour. That's one. This is a 3/4 cup. There's 2. Now, all of you that can do basic maths should realise that 2 times 3/4 is 1.5. We want a heaped teaspoon of baking powder. And a pinch of salt. Alrighty. I just let it spin up a bit. Now it won't mix in like that because the butter will all be stuck to the side. So in a sec I'm just going to go in with a knife and scrape away the butter. Scrape it away from the sides. Scrape it away. And go again. Right, now we're going to do the egg. So I'm going to put the egg white in there. I'm going to catch the yolk and I'm going to put the yolk in there. Alright, do it the old fashioned way. Perfectly good way, you just get egg white on your hands. But anyway, should be right. No problem. Pulling out yolk by hand is perfectly valid, perfectly good way to do it. Perfectly sound way to do it. Just a little bit of milk. Not too much or you'll wreck it. You'll know when it comes together, you'll hear the sound will change, apart from anything else. Gonna make a liar out of me. Sound didn't change. What is that? Commentator's curse? Somewhere. Right. Well, that is done. What are we up to? 6 minutes with a bit of talking. 6 minutes and you've got your pastry. Seems a bit soft. Seems a bit soft. This may cause problems. I don't know why it would be soft, it shouldn't be, but I think it's too soft. Too soft. What can we do with soft, overly soft pastry? Put in the fridge maybe? Maybe. Maybe. Alright. I think it is too soft. I'm just going to put it in the fridge for, I don't know, half an hour. I'll come back then. Alright, I just put it in the fridge for, I don't know, quarter of an hour or so. It's colder, so hopefully it'll be right. So I'll just get some flour. So, and we'll roll it out. And roll it out, and hopefully it'll be fine. Famous last words. We'll see. All will be revealed in the fullness of time. Whoops. Yeah, it's falling apart. Yeah. This is the thing I've always said. I always say this every time I make it. It's all dependent on the temperature of the butter. You get the butter wrong, temperature of the butter wrong, and it just won't work. It just won't work. You can try putting it in the fridge. You know, you can try. Which is what I'm trying. What I'm doing right now. I'm trying. But yeah, my experience has been. See, it's just tearing. It probably won't even go on. I think I'm going to probably have to do the last resort trick here, which will be good for you people. You can find out what to do when everything else fails. Sad. So I doubt this is going to work, but I'll just try. It's just tearing apart. It's not holding together. It's not holding together, but we'll try. Alright. It's got to be really gentle when it's really not what it's supposed to be. You've got to be really gentle. It's just going to tear apart easy as anything. But you can get lucky, you can get just get it good enough so that you can drape it over the dish, and then you're right. I mean, it just has to get in. Once it gets hot, it's just going to cook, so it doesn't matter, but you've got to get it into the dish. So we'll just cut off the excess. This is the old favourite pie dish. It was the only pie dish I had for a long time, and it's a really good size. Although it's a bit low, you know, bit low. But it's ideal for a pie where the filling's not wet and you can push the filling up above the top of the pie. It's ideal for that. And it's not good for something like apple pie where the filling might be a bit wet, you know. And if it's wet and it comes up too high, it's just going to go all over the place. So great for chicken pie. Be perfect for chicken pie. Right. I'm just going to put this aside. I'll use that for the lid. So I'll put this aside too. The main thing is to get your pastry done, and then you can do the rest at your leisure, you know. But if you've got the filling on the stove, and you know you don't want to let it cool down or something, you don't want to be waiting to make your pastry with the filling on the stove, you know, with the clock running. You don't want that, because you never know what might happen. You might get the butter slightly the wrong temperature, and the pastry won't work, or it'll barely work. You might have to resort to the cling film, not cling film, solution of the last resort is, come on brain, grease-proof paper or oven paper. That's the last resort when everything else fails. You get a piece of baking paper, you put your pastry down on it, you roll it out, get it to the right size, another piece of baking paper on top, and then you can, you can put your pie dish on top, turn the whole thing over, and hopefully it'll stick to the greaseproof paper and you can move it around a bit to get it right. That's the last resort. If you're really desperate, you can do that. Which I've had to once or twice. Now, what we want to do is make some, I'm going to fry some onion and bacon. So I'll start with an onion. I've got a great big onion here. I don't know if it's too big. It'll be right. It'll be right. It'll be fine. So, I was talking about my weight loss regime, right? Now in the past I've tried absolute starvation, don't eat again until you've lost the weight you want, which does work by the way, but it's fairly extreme. You know, if you want to lose 10 kilos, you'll be not eating for like 2 weeks. Yeah, at least 2 weeks without eating. More than, yeah, possibly. At least 2 weeks without eating. So you can do it. I've done it. It's surprisingly doable. But a bit of a shock to the system if you're not used to it. So a less shocking dietary technique, which is what I'm currently using, is the alternate day fasting. So you just fast every second day. Don't eat anything every second day. And every second day you can eat things, but don't go overboard, you know. There's no point fasting for a whole day and then the next day you eat double your normal amount. Pointless. You may as well not have bothered in the first place. So you've got to have the strength of will, A, to not eat at all on your fasting day, and B, just to eat normally on the other day. If you do that, and you know, if you don't live your life as a pig, where you're eating far too much, if you just eat a normal amount, that's the normal amount required to keep yourself going, you will lose weight, and you'll lose about 400 grams every 2 days. About 400 grams every 2 days, depending on how much you weigh, what your natural size is. You know, if you're a big man, you can lose more than that. If you're a small woman, you'll probably lose less than that. But for me, I find about 400 grams a day for every 2 days. Obviously, you lose the 400 grams on the day you fast, and the other day you don't lose anything. Right. Let's put some olive oil in there. Bit of olive oil. Not too much. That might be too much. So the days when you're fasting, one of the tricks with fasting is don't eat anything. Because as soon as you eat something, you'll want to eat more. But if you don't eat anything, you won't get quite the same overwhelming desire to eat. Now obviously if the desire to eat is really strong, it's very hard to stop it. But if you don't eat anything, if you just go in there with the clear plan, I'm not going to eat anything, it's not too bad. And when you feel like eating something, just have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. You know, and you can have a bit of milk and sugar in your tea and coffee if you want, but don't really load it up with sugar. That'd be wasting your time to do that. But just have a little bit, you know, no more than a spoon, no more than a teaspoon of sugar. And ideally, you know, you're best off drinking black tea. It has no calories, or virtually no calories. But yeah, a bit of milk and sugar is okay. Just don't go overboard. And if you do that, you should be able to fast. It's not that hard to fast, really. It isn't. I mean, people are terrified who can't face the idea of going a whole day without eating. What the hell's wrong with them? It's not that hard. And it won't do you any harm. It really won't. In fact, fasting is natural. Human beings are meant to go hungry from time to time. That's why we get fat. So that when we go hungry, we don't die. That's the whole problem with the fat. Anyway, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with fasting. Even fasting for multiple days, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. And if you think about it, you'll realise once upon a time, human beings used to starve for, you could starve for weeks or months. Like you're in winter. Hang on, I'll just flip that a bit. Imagine it's the middle of winter. No plants are going to grow, there's no fruit. Maybe you can find some nuts or not. Your only hope is to catch animals and kill them and eat them. That's your only chance. But if you can't catch animals, and a lot of animals are going to hibernate, you can't catch animals, you're going to starve, and you'll be starving for a long time until spring comes, and even then the food isn't going to be available instantly. You're going to have to wait. So you know, you could be starving for months. So I've just got 3 rashers of bacon in there. Could use 4, I think my recipe calls for 4, but 3's alright. I think 3 will be fine. Alright, let me just check that we're recording like I think we are. All good. This bacon going. Bacon and onion, marriage made in heaven. This is my recipe book. All my recipes. I need to get a new folder. This thing's starting to not hold together very well. There we go. Chicken pie. Alright, right, then we need frying up this stuff, and then we're going to make a white sauce or a roux. And just going to mix up the chicken and the bacon and onion and the peas and some herbs, and mix it all up encased in a white sauce, and that's it in the oven. It's the base. That's the pie. So in order to do that, you're going to have to cut up the chicken. Cut up some chicken, so we'll bowl. A bowl to put it in. A bowl. I was going to weigh this, see how much chicken I've got. How much chicken did I get out of that chicken last night? 480 grams. 480 grams of chicken. Oh. Out of a chook that was 1.4 kilos, I think. So most of the weight of that chicken disappeared. Didn't translate into meat. I actually got less than a third. In terms of grams, less than a third actually became meat. Doesn't seem right, does it? Where did the meat go? Where did the meat go? It's supposed to be 1.4 kilos of chook, and we've got 480 grams. Oh no, it's probably a little bit more than a third. Slightly more than a third. Oh. Well worth remembering that. So I guess probably water would have been, maybe a third was water. I mean, and then the other third would be the carcass. The carcass didn't seem very heavy to me, so no, wasn't much in the carcass. But probably, maybe a third. So a third skin and bone and stuff you don't want. A third meat and a third water. I'm guessing. Unless, did they count the packaging as part of the weight? Did they do that? I mean, that'd be a crook thing to do. Right. I'm just going to finish chopping this up, and I'll come back and do the roux. Okay, now what I'm going to try and do now is to drain the oil off from frying the bacon and the onion, right? So trying to drain it, just trying to drain it off into the bottom, and then I'll scoop the bacon and onion into the mixing bowl. like so. Reuse this fat. Perfectly good fat, no point wasting it, so let's reuse it. Reuse it for the roux. All good. Now we need some, maybe a bit of, I might put a bit of butter in too, just in case. I'm not sure there's quite enough fat, but I'll just add a bit more. It won't hurt. I mean, a bit of extra fat's just going to give a bit more flavour for the pie. So, I'm sure that's plenty. That'll be plenty. Now, 1.5 tablespoons, heaped tablespoons of flour. As soon as that's fully melted, it should pretty much is now. 1.5 tablespoons. 1.5. Mix the flour and the butter together so it makes a paste. Back on the heat. Get your milk. Some milk in. Some milk in. Stir it around. And it will form a thick paste. It'll form a thick paste, and we use the spoon to make sure that it's all well mixed and all the lumps are ironed out. So iron out all your lumps at this stage, and if you do that, your roux will be perfectly smooth from this point on. Alright, that's that milk done. I've got some more, so it's all good. Oh, there's no lid on that one. Oh, that's because that's from Aldi. I didn't mean there's no lid, I meant there's no seal. You know, if you haven't heard my rant about seals, it's, I don't know, a couple of videos back, I think. My rant about seals. Anyway, Safeway have seals on their milk, Aldi do not. So from that you can tell it's not compulsory to have a seal on your milk. It's just Safeway think it's a good idea. But is it a good idea? No, it's not. Unless there's some danger, you know, is there really any danger of your milk being corrupted? Are there really? I'm going to put a couple of salt spoons of salt in. Put them in here. That way I don't need to put them in there. It'll all get propagated through it by being in the roux. Yeah, what are the chances of somebody sneaking around in Woolworth's fridge? A clandestine, strange, spy-like dude with a trench coat, dark sunglasses and a fedora, sneaking into the dairy section. Carefully unscrewing the lids on the milk and putting in some evil bacteria or potassium cyanide into your milk, and then screwing the lid back on, you know. What are the odds? What are the odds? Is that really going to happen? Oh, man, you know. Let's wait till that kind of thing happens before we get serious. Because if no one's doing it, you don't need to protect against it, do you? No one's doing it, you don't need to protect against it. Now, how sloppy do we want this? Probably a bit more sloppy. I'm sure the chicken is just going to soak up moisture, so it can be quite sloppy. Quite sloppy. Oh, that'll do. I'm going to throw in some oregano because it's the only dried herb I've got. Oh, I've got rosemary, but no, I don't think rosemary is appropriate. I think probably it'd be better with sage, you know, if I had any sage I'd probably use that. But I haven't, so just going to use oregano. It'll be fine, no problem. Right. Done with that. Let's mix it all together. Oh! I was going to put the garlic in. Well, I suppose I'd better do something with the garlic. I suppose you better do something with the garlic. Got this huge garlic clove here. Because it's so big, I'm only going to use one. I'm just going to chop it up. Reasonably fine. And well, I can put it directly into with the chicken, or I could put it in the roux. Maybe I'll put it in the roux. That way the roux is responsible for everything. If I'd been a bit more on the ball, if I would have put it in the fry pan at the end of the cooking the bacon and onion, but I didn't. I forgot about it. I'm bad like that. Bad. And hate to say it, I am getting old and I forget things more than I used to. I never used to forget anything. Had a really good memory all my life. I was lucky like that. Really good memory. From the time I was born, remembered everything. I mean, not everything. I'm not one of those savants that remember what they had for dinner 13 years ago. I'm not like that. I just remember everything important, you know. I remember all the people. Now, people say they can't remember people. Can't remember who that was, can't remember names. I always remembered. I never had that problem. I'd sit there in class at school And I just remember all the major things, you know. Whatever I was taught, I just remembered. So I didn't have to study for the first 10 years of school. I never studied because I just remembered it all. But then the shit got real. And I found out that it wasn't good enough. And I had to study after that. And I found it very difficult to study because I'd had this unfair advantage. So I never learnt how to study. And it was tough, I'll tell you. I found it very, 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 very difficult to study. Some people could say I was just lazy. Other people would say it was some other problem. But anyway, I conquered it. I learned how to study, and away I went. Self-motivation. Critical tool for achieving anything. Self-motivation. You've got to have the motivation. You've got to be able to do it. You've got to force yourself to do it. A lot of the time the stuff you don't want to do, like study. You don't want to do it. You know you don't want to do it. Fucking hate it. Study. I hate it. I don't want to do it. I'd rather watch TV. I'd rather go to the toilet. I'd rather have a cup of coffee. I'd rather do anything except study. But you've got to do it. And as you get older, the more you realise you just have to do it. There's always stuff you've got to do. You know you've got to do it. No one else is going to do it. You have to do it. So do it. Easier said than done. Easier said than done, but that's the gist of it, you know. You just got to pull your finger out and do it. Chicken pie, I've got to make a chicken pie. Maybe I don't want to do it. I mean, I don't mind actually, but got to do it. Got to make this, got to make something for YouTube. Got to do it. So pull your finger out and do it. Usually you find that when you have to do something, it's the hardest part is getting started. Actually starting doing it. That's the hardest bit. Now once you start it, usually there's no problem. Usually. Anyway, you do need motivation and determination to do it, to force yourself to do it. That's what you need. That's what everyone who gets stuff done, that's what they've got. Self-motivation, determination, willpower. One of the greatest things you can have in life, willpower. And you can train yourself to have it. By doing things you know you're supposed to, know you have to do. You know you have to do them, so do them. So by doing homework is a good start. So you start by doing homework. And by doing stuff you have to do around the house, you know, cooking and cleaning. And just bloody do it, mate. Don't make excuses, do it. So as you can see, the filling is going over the top. And notice what is wrong with this pie dish. It's a little bit too low. A little bit too low. God, this There's a pile of dishes here. Pile of dishes waiting to be done. Anyway, they'll get done. They'll get done very soon. So I'm nearly ready to put this in the oven. Just got to roll out this last. Got to roll out the lid. And this is where the problem's probably going to happen. It's probably not going to roll out too well. Probably not, because as I say, once you get the temperature wrong in the beginning and you're making pastry, it never comes right. It never comes right. And you can watch people put their pastry in the fridge. There's lots of people doing that. In my experience, it's not really the answer. Maybe if you use lard, lard's more forgiving, butter's not as forgiving. You can probably get away with lots of stuff if you use lard. And you know, you could use lard on chicken pie, why not? Sure you could. And this is just falling apart. So if it really breaks up, if I really can't do it, but I'm going to do my best to do it, well, look at that. This is what happens when you don't get your pastry right. This is why people are scared of making pastry. Which is fair enough, but if you know what you're doing, you get the temperature right, this won't happen. But it is happening this time. I don't know why the temperature was wrong. Did I put the wrong setting into the microwave? Is that what happened? I don't know. Something happened and I don't know what it was. Because the butter came out too warm. It shouldn't have, but it did. Anyway, it'll be alright. You'll see, it won't matter. It won't really matter. Won't really matter. It'll be fine. Just getting a knife here so that I can trim the top. Trim. Like so. And then we just put the egg wash over the top, the egg white, to give it a nice golden colour. Nice golden colour. And it'll provide a little bit more protein, but not much. Right. Now we just put some holes, even though we've got whacking great split. But anyway, we'll put some holes in anyway. It'll be fine. Throw it in the oven. Okay, I've got the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. I'll probably turn it down a bit after it's been cooking for a little while. So, I shall clean up, and when about half an hour's up, I'll pull it out and we'll eat it. Okay, the mess is gone, cleaned up, all the dishes washed. It's a miracle. Someone must have done it. And the pie is all cooked. So let's open it up. Actually, before I do, I'll just get a video of it as it is in the pie case. Come on, you can do it, video. Come on, let's go. Video in the pie case. I might just spin around this way. Yeah, the white balance definitely changes quite a lot. Yeah, it's still not right. The white balance, no good on that crappy Motorola phone. Not up to scratch. Now, of course, the pastry's falling apart a bit, but you've got to expect that when you're on the first. When you first cut into the pie, the first piece is always tends to fall apart. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Has no reflection on the taste, and it won't affect the rest of the pie. Just that the first piece is always suspect. No problem. So, there we go. Let's have a look. First of all, have a look at the pie itself. Coming in from the other side, we can see where the piece was taken out of the pie. And here's the pie on the plate. Boom, boom. Look at that golden pastry. Doesn't it make you want to eat it? Well, I don't know about you, it makes me want to eat it. So let's try a bit. Get some of that crust, that pastry crust. We'll get some chicken. Chicken pie. A bit more salt. I got a bit of garlic in that first bite. Which might have been a little bit more than I wanted. But in the second bite there's no garlic. So although I chopped it up fine, maybe it didn't distribute as well as it would have if I'd fried it like I was supposed to. So if you're making this yourself, make sure you fry the garlic. Quite hot. I've had it sitting there for about 5 minutes. It's still quite hot. What can I tell you? It's chicken, bacon, onion, green peas in a white sauce. White sauce is pretty neutral, doesn't really intrude much on the flavour, but it keeps it all together and it's a nice thing. But it's all bound up in this lovely buttery pastry. You know, which I had a bit of trouble with the pastry, but like I said, once it's in the pie, it just cooks and it's great. Really good. Yeah, pastry makes it. It's that buttery. It's buttery. You know, you really taste the butter, and butter and chicken do go together very well. You know. Butter and chicken. It's very good. The only slight false note is the garlic because I didn't fry it like it's supposed to. That's the only false note. Other than that, it's really good. Really good. Hot and savoury, chicken, peas. Now, lots of things go well with chicken. And chicken itself is very tender, you know, moist and tender, beautiful. Of course, that's what you get when you boil it, as long as you don't boil it too long. So I boiled it like 50 minutes, maybe 55 minutes. Really, 50 for a small chicken, 50 minutes plenty. Plenty. Yeah, everything's right in it. The peas are a great idea. Go really well with the chicken. They help to balance the more savoury things like the bacon, the chicken, the onion, and you get these nice sweet peas. You know, good. They're good, so they are. Serve this up with some mashed bud, some good mashed bud, some greens of some kind, broccoli or something. Great. Alright, there it is, Mr. Mars' chicken pie. Now before I go, I should mention there's a song called Chicken Pie. I like chicken pie. And Ry Cooder did it. I think it's an old American folk song, I think. Probably. That chicken, it can crow for days. Chicken gon' fly away. And I like chicken pie. Something like that. Anyway, if you want to check it out, YouTube, Ry Cooder, chicken pie. I'm a fan of Ry Cooder. Not everything he does, mind you, but some of the stuff he does I really like. I think he might have lost the plot recently though. I mean, he was good there until I really like. My favourite album of his is I Flathead. Love it. That's an old man's album. So if you're an old man, you want to hear a really good, really old crusty album that's hard to define by an American, check it out. Really good. Excellent. Love it. And there's other good stuff, like Boomer's Story is really good. And I even Pull Up Some Dust and Sit Down's not bad. It's good in places. But the latest stuff I've seen of his on YouTube, nah, not doing it for me. Anyway, I Flathead, fantastic. Anyway, check you next time.